My current job is much more U.S.-centric, but it does concern our military population, which is a group that serves in many foreign countries. And with the world becoming a smaller place all the time, with economic issues reverberating far beyond any one country's borders, the consumer financial issues that I address are many of the same ones being felt in communities around the world. So I don't think it's totally out of line for me to be here speaking to you tonight at the World Affairs Council as well, telling you about our government's new consumer agency, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and my particular office in it, the Office of Service Member Affairs. Once I started the job, I found that the Better Business Bureau receives about 50,000 military consumer complaints per year. So I learned a great deal from those about the problems and scams that military consumers face. Based on that knowledge, my team and I developed 6 military consumer workshops that were taught to over 20,000 military personnel and family members. And some of them are taught regularly now at military installations, which I'm happy to see. I also traveled around the country and beyond. Went to some of the Navy bases in Japan, doing military outreach, and I wrote the consumer newsletter that Mrs. Blumenthal mentioned. That went out to about 3,000 subscribers. And I learned a lot writing that, although every month it was kind of like time to make the donuts. I had to write the darn thing every month. So it was challenging but educational all at once. It was in my BBB capacity that I first connected with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau last fall. When Professor Warren was tasked by the Secretary of the Treasury to set up the Bureau, I was invited to meet with her and offer my ideas on how the yet-to-be-formed Office of Service Member Affairs might interact with and serve the military. Apparently she liked what I had to say because, unbeknownst to me, my advice session turned into a job interview. Our job is to see, really, that military and their personnel and their families receive a strong financial education, to monitor their complaints about consumer financial products and services and the responses to their complaints, and to coordinate the efforts of federal and state agencies to improve consumer protection measures for military families. And we're authorized to enter into agreements with the Department of Defense to carry out our work and make sure that we achieve those goals. Within our agency, we'll make sure that the CFPB understands the unique financial issues that impact military families. We're already doing that. We're a bit of the squeaky wheel, but we want them to be thinking about some of the issues that really are unique to the military. We'll ask the CFPB examiners to keep an eye out for military-specific issues, encourage our enforcement teams to take action against financial providers who break the law to harm service members, and make sure that the CFPB Consumer Response Division is attuned to the military community and responsive to its complaints. And I'll tell you something that's sort of a little success story we've had already. We are taking complaints about credit cards, but we're also, as our kind of out the gate, we're going to be doing more, but we had to start somewhere. And the CFPB does not want to turn away somebody who is what we call a distressed homeowner in danger of foreclosure. And most of those folks who come to us will be referred to what's called the HOPE hotline. But we talked to the VA, and they said to us, we want you to send us veterans or military who come to you who are in danger of foreclosure, even if they don't have a VA loan, because we may know about benefits they should be getting that could help them. So we've done that. So now it's in the script. If somebody comes to us, about to lose their house, and they say that they're a military or a veteran, they will go to the VA home loan default program, which has a great track record of helping to prevent foreclosure. So that's an example of some of the things that I hope we can do. I can attest, by the way, that providing education and assistance at the right time can work. I met a sailor who was a single parent and several years prior to meeting me had been $30,000 in debt and struggling to avoid a complete financial meltdown. She found her way to a Navy financial counselor, made a plan, and by the time I met her about 6 years later, she had paid off her debts and had $100,000 in the bank. So that's a great example of if a young sailor, single parent can do it, it can be done. Another issue that we've heard about that impacts many military spouses is the struggle to find employment. I know women's employment is certainly a global issue, but our active duty military spouses face a unique and significant challenge, which is frequent moves. I am a prime example, as my husband and I moved 24 times in 37 years. There are not a whole lot of jobs that will move that many times, to say the least. If the spouse is self-employed, it's hard to keep a client base if you're constantly relocating. If she has a career that requires a professional license, she faces the difficulties and expense of recertifying in each new state. And many Army posts, especially the Army posts, are in rural areas where available jobs may be few and far between. And if they move overseas, then it's even tougher. For a spouse who's looking to higher education to make her more attractive in the job market, the government now does allow a service member to transfer GI Bill benefits to his or her spouse, and that's a great thing. But it's hard to complete a lengthy course of study if you are constantly moving, and there are now a number of for-profit schools with questionable academic credentials that are marketing specifically to military families, encouraging them to spend that valuable GI Bill benefit and more on what may be a degree that does not lead to gainful employment. I think that a big part of my educational mission at the CFPB's Office of Service Member Affairs is not just to educate our military families on financial matters, but to raise awareness about the financial issues that impact them. And I've been fortunate enough to be invited to do just that on Capitol Hill on several occasions since I began this job. In fact, I was invited to testify today, but I said, no, I have to go to Hartford. I did not get off easy, however, because they said, fine, you can submit your testimony for the record. So I did do that, and that one today was on the subject of for-profit colleges and their marketing to the military.